So here's my portrait thus far. I've been working on it for a while, and I will talk about in this video my process, where I started from, and I'll show you a little bit of me working on it. So here is the original image, and your image should be about 6 inches by 6 inches. Can be, it's nice to print it out a little bigger or print it out a couple different sizes, so you have some options on how to actually crop it. So you can see, I kind of turned it to the side a little bit and I zoomed in on it. And so these are 1/2 inch. And I did, 1, 2, 3 going vertically, and then horizontally I did ABC. So, what's in, 7C. And then you just can do it square by square. And I went close to a window to get some nice directional light, kind of a chiaroscuro effect where you have uneven light moving across an object that gives it a sense of dimensionality. Also can give a heightened sense of emotion. And here I was just thinking about being a father, feeling kind of run down but still kind of happy, and kind of silly. That's part of my personality and kind of a celebration of that. And then I blew that up, and now I turned those 1/2 inches into full inches. Same thing with the ABC, 1, 2, 3. And I was really thinking about value. Like, I did some shading on here just to kind of show where some of that value is happening. And actually, on my photo, I did do some drawing on it, almost thinking of sort of a posterization in a way where the value changes are. Got a lot of good detail in there, and then I got rid of my hand, so it's as if my son is just kind of poking me in the eye on his own accord, as he often does. And then I want to work with purple and blue mostly, and purple, relating to red, kind of relating to love, and blue to mellow it out and make it feel more mellow, more contemplative sort of. And then blue also, being sort of the boy color. So then I'm going to alternate squares, purple and blue. And I want to get kind of a darker palette, but a high range of value as well. High range of value to give drama, and the darkness to give drama. So you can use like an ice cube tray or your palette to make various tones, maybe mixing in other colors. You guys know how to dull things out by adding black and white, or by mixing a complementary color. The opposite color can dull it out. But here, just kind of a more straightforward approach. I like to have a lot of control, and I start filling it in square by square with kind of a checkerboard effect going on. And I'll alternate. After I do all the purple, I'll come back in with the blue and do the same kind of thing. And you can do you don't have to do it in this way where you're being so representational and precise. You can take more of the Chuck Close approach where he's using shapes. You can get a little bit more random with it, but it's tricky because you want to have some control, and things can get a bit out of hand if you get too random. So you really do want to plan it out. So it's sort of a balance. How can you work in more color, and still have it really make sense? Here I just really wanted to be precise and legible, so I used a more kind of analytical, straightforward method. I also didn't do a background, so something that you might want to do is, even before this stage, you take that piece of paper and you can add some color to it, and maybe some lighter washes of color, and that can be your background that you're building on top of. That is a good approach. Here I didn't do that. I just went straight for sketching it in. So either way is acceptable. And then I will show you just some short clips of me working on the painting itself. One thing that can be really helpful is to mark where lines or implied lines happen. So I'm looking at each box. Okay, it's about halfway up the box, and then I'll mark it right there. That's where the line is going to cross. And then I'm checking another area. Okay, it continues and it starts to point downward a little bit. So noticing exactly where those areas are going to cross each other, are crossing the grid, will help you be more precise in your drawing. So now I'm painting and I'm looking here at 7C, that square right there, and sped up the view a little bit. So I'm going to get a little water on my brush, dip it into my paint. I've got several different values going there. I start filling in that area. And it's a little watered down, but it's still a relatively opaque layer. And I'm going to push it all the way to the edges and just overlap the edges a little bit so I don't end up with any white areas. Adding a little bit more water to my brush so that the paint spreads nicely. Now I'm going to pick up some slightly darker tone right there and then come in on that edge to create that subtle shadow, just a little bit of shadow happening there. Blend that in. And then I'm going to rinse off my brush so that it's I can get some lighter tone on there. And then I'm going to lighten up that area so while it's still wet I can blend it. You can let things dry and paint over the top, but I like to keep blending while things are wet. That's one advantage to going square by square, is that you can get that subtlety and you can blend. You know, maybe you want to do more squares at a time, and that can help you get the relationships of the values of each square. Maybe could be easier to modulate that way. You'll have to kind of feel it out and see what works best for you. But I think working square by square and just really focusing in on each one gives you a lot of control. Filling in that lighter tone and getting some even lighter stuff to get that highlight where the finger is a little bit more touched by the light coming in from the window. Blending it in there. Getting that little wrinkle of the knuckle. Another little knuckle wrinkle. I'm going to speed it up here just to give you the idea. This is 4 times speed now, just how I sort of conclude this box here. Filling in some more of the shadow area, just really giving it a round feel, cleaning off my brush. So yeah, just keep cleaning off my brush, dipping back into my paints, and you want to have probably several brushes going, and you want to have a rag so you can wipe off your brushes, make sure that they're not getting contaminated, so you're not contaminating what's on your palette, you're not contaminating your brush, and just trying to be really precise